Your LSU Tigers get the win on the road against Missouri. 11 a.m. kickoff. Jane Daniels once again carries you to a win on his broken ribs. The defense finally shows some improvement, mind you. Barely, but improvements are being made here. So a lot to talk about with this game. But first off, let's roll that intro. Once again for another LSU video. Sorry for not having this recap out earlier. Stuff getting in the way, but we're here. We got it. You finally got it. So let's talk about this. Schedule's probably going to be changing with these recaps and previews, all that type of stuff. But we're here. Let's talk about this game. Now, I really don't know how to talk about this team and their chances, right? They keep their hopes alive in the SEC West. That is the important part here, right? You're trying to keep your hopes alive until November. Alabama. You're trying to keep your hopes alive till you face Alabama, and whatever happens in that game, that determines your season, basically. Because if you get the tiebreakers, you are once again in Atlanta facing Georgia, and you finally have an offense that can probably rival the Georgia's defense. But a lot has to go right, and one thing that, you don't have to make sure stays right, I honestly believe, is this LSU offense because of the play caller, Mike Jimbrock, and the quarterback leading this offense, Jane Daniels, and his two weapons in Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. And let's start with Jane Daniels. He should be in the Heisman conversation. Jane Daniels should be in the Heisman conversation because I do not believe right now, even though I want Garrett Nussmeier to succeed if he ever had to step foot in the place of Jane Daniels, but I don't think he can replicate what is going on with Jane Daniels. He's going to be, if everything is going right, statistically, he will be the second 4,000-yard passer in LSU history. The first, Joe Burrow. And the thing that's going to add on to that is 1,000 rushing yards. First QB2 in LSU history that will be able to do that. If he continues this pace, he will be breaking records. He will be carrying this LSU offense on his back, even if he has bruised ribs. And he should be in the Heisman conversation for that. I do not care about record for Heisman. The Heisman vote, in my opinion, should not involve records for a position that does not put in which it's kind of like offensive player of the year, right? Christian McCaffrey once won that award, even though he was on a bad Carolina team. Or Derrick Henry carrying his team to the playoffs. Like, in this 4-team playoff format, Jane Daniels is already eliminated. But if it went to the 12-team format, this team keeps on winning, keeps on stacking wins. They would have been in the playoffs, right, if they continued this trajectory. So why is 2 losses stopping Jane Daniels from being a Heisman candidate? It makes no sense to me as a guy who watches his games every week. And he is not being talked the same way that Caleb Williams is still being talked about. Or, what's his name from Washington? Michael Penix, I think. Just not being talked the same way. And I think that should be changed for this. And, his offensive weapons help him out. You got a 100-yard rusher. You got 2 wide receivers who are continuing to set the standard of wide receiver play this year in the SEC. Mason Taylor's a stud. And, yeah, it's hard to figure out what to talk about this offense because it is the one perfect thing for this LSU team. If there's one thing to complain about the LSU offense, it's that you start slow, but you quickly score 40-something points every game because of your defense. And let's talk about this defense, right? You hire an 80-year-old guru defensive line coach because of how your defensive line has been playing. Changes aren't made overnight, but changes are being positively made. The second half, you saw defensive stops from this team. That is great. You saw pressure. You are seeing the adjustments that were common last year being made, right? This was a get-right game. Harold Perkins got an interception. You got a pick six from Major Burns, which shouldn't have been a touchdown because why are we punting it once again to Missouri? But anyway, let the man have his pick six. But the difference between the second half of this game and the first half of this game for the defense was staggering. I loved it. I want to see these improvements keep on being made. Because who knows how Jalen Milroe will be once you face him. You want your defense to be as improved as possible. And you got Army and Auburn then a bye week to improve. Let's see how this team goes. All the fun. All that type of stuff. And yeah, I think that's about it. LSU stays alive one more game because of this one. That's about it. They do not control their destiny in the SEC. They have to win out. They got to win out, get the tiebreakers, all that type of stuff. And honestly, I think they can do it if the improvements that were made in the second half for defense keep on going, rolling into the ball that will eventually lead them to an SEC West championship, their first back-to-back. But who knows, right? You still got 2 more games before you face basically what will decide what happens in the SEC West, in my opinion. So, yes, it's going to be a fun few weeks here in LSU land because October is interesting. November is for contenders. Let's see if come November they are contenders. This has been Dustin Shard. If you enjoy any of this content, like, subscribe, comment. All help the channel grow. And I will see you guys next time.